Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer and today I'm gamesplaining Cubitos. So Cubitos is a race game. There are 4 different tracks in the box. I have set up with just the initial game version. So what the rules say to play is the first game, that's the version we are playing. With each of these dice, there are 7 possible cards to come out. There are suggested groupings of them, which look like that in the rulebook. I'm, however, just playing with the first game version. What each of the dice do is dependent on which card is next to them. And that changes with each game. There is a list in the rules of what each thing does. There's a whole bunch of stuff to read there. I will just describe to you what the ones that we currently have do. But let me get through the game first, so we understand exactly what we're doing. This is a race game. So on this board, it's a race from here all the way around the board and back to here to finish. The game doesn't just finish with the first player who gets back across the finish line. The game finishes at the end of that phase. So you may find that you've got one player a little bit across the line, another player further one across the line. In this case, the one furthest across the line is the winner. So how do we play, I hear you ask? You start with 9 dice. This little hand here says 9, so that means you're rolling 9 of your dice. You can re-roll those dice as many times as you want, but whenever you get a symbol, you're going to push that to the side or to the active location. You now have the choice of re-rolling those dice or not re-rolling those dice. If you only had that, you can re-roll and it's not a problem. And if you rolled all blanks, it's not a problem. But as soon as you've got 3 dice showing something and you choose to re-roll, this time he's got 1 more. You could choose to re-roll again. As soon as you roll something that looks like that, you are what we call bust, which means all of these dice go to the discard location, which means you're not going to get to move or do anything this turn. But what you do is move around that track. You will notice that as we move around this track, there are little benefits on each spot. So when I move to the next one, I'm going to get these tokens. This is money that can be spent on any turn. You can hold on to that. If, however, he didn't choose to reroll that, so he ended up with that, what he's got is 1 movement and 3 money. The first thing you're going to do is use any abilities which are on the other dice, and I'll get to them in a moment, so we'll skip over that for the second. But you will move, so he can move 1 spot, he can move to here, 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 or here. Notice you're not able to move through the water spots. So if he moves to here, notice there's a 2 just there. He would get 2 extra money for that movement. Then you go to the purchasing. Now, in the top right corner of each of these cards, there's a number. That tells you how much it costs to get that die. So, Smelly Cat, the white one there, costs 5 money. He's got 3. He's not going to be able to hang on to any of this, so he must spend the 3, or if he only wishes to spend 2, he's going to lose the other one. He could include those, so he has the ability to purchase up to here on those cards. And what he might do is just, for the moment, he'll hang on to those 2, use the 3 to purchase 1 of those dice. And that goes in the discard. As he uses these dice, they get pushed across the discard. The dice that didn't come up with anything stay in the roll zone. On the next turn around, he will be rolling 9 dice again. So he has 5 already. He would take 4 more from the draw stack, but there's none in the draw stack. So everything from this side comes across. He then chooses 4 more, so he might go to that and roll them again. He's got 2 active, everything else is inactive, so he can roll again. If he rolls all blanks, no harm, no foul. This time he has rolled that, so he might just hang on to the 3, etc. Now you'll notice there's a die here that has a funky symbol on it. That's the one he purchased in the last round. So the first thing that happens is once all of the roll phase is finished, by the way, this roll phase can happen with everyone at the same time. When you're finished rolling, you just flip this over to show that you're ready for the next phase. Everyone eventually will do the same. We're into the run phase. You can, if this one gets to move 1, stand on the same spot as someone else, get their bonus. There's no blocking out any spots or anything like that. So it doesn't really matter on turn order so much. So the next thing that happens is that one. So according to the card that is up there, the person who has the most of these symbols, which is this player in this case, will get 3 of the permanent money and will move 2 spots. So probably to there as the 2 spots he's moved. And then he must lose that red die. And that's not optional. Notice this word optional. So if he now were to have 1 foot to use, he could move to here. He may want to avoid that spot because of that marker. He doesn't have to use that. That's an optional thing. He has 4 money available to him. He may choose to use all 4 money, or may choose to use less than that, or may choose to use 4 plus what he has down here, which would give him 9, getting him up to there if he wished to. That's all choices. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to use anything. So let's say, for example, he uses those 4 plus 1, so he pushes that back. They've all now been used. He's using it to get one of these dice. That goes into his discard spot. When you're purchasing dice, you can purchase up to 2 different dice in a round. So instead of purchasing that one, he may have decided to purchase those 2, a 2 and a 3. They also go into his discard pile. And the game continues like that until, as I say, one of the players gets across the finish line. Other things that you need to be aware of, there's this die. This die is the first player die. So if this player is first player, he's rolling 9 dice. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 dice. He also rolls that as part of his dice that he's rolling. That shows 2 money to be used straight away, or 1 money like that to be added on, or 1 foot. Other things around the course that you need to be aware of, other than these squares that have permanent money in them, and those ones which lose you a die. And if he moved 1, he could lose one of these dice. So it's kind of like deck building, but reducing the number of cards that you have from that original stack. If that's what the player positions look like when they're rolling, this player would get 1 extra die because he's 1 line behind. If that's what it looks like, this player is 2 lines behind, he would get 2 extra dice. So he would actually be rolling 11 dice in this state. If you stop here, you're moving forward 1 on that track, even without busting, which may give you extra hands, meaning you're now rolling 10 dice instead of 9, and extra money. That's obviously lose a die and do that action I just did. That's lose 2 dice. This spot is gain a die, so you can gain any of the dice. So he might go, I'm going to grab that, and that goes straight to his discard pile. And that is it on this particular board. There are things on other boards that do various things like jump you around and push you from this point to this point, and shortcuts and things like that, and jetpacks, but they're on future boards, so I'm not going to go into them too much right now. Really quickly, I will run through what each of the dice do. So starting down here with the rich dog, one of the sides would give you 3 money. The side with the picture of the dog on it will give you 3 money, but you lose the die. Mr. Soldier, the red one, is looking at who has the most of that symbol showing, and the person who has the most will gain 3 of the permanent money and move 2 steps, but then they lose that die. Rock On, which is the green die, has a foot on it and has 2 of these symbols, and that is basically a re-roll. So if that's what I've rolled and I choose to push, pushing is rolling again, I can move this back over here and roll it as part of the things, hoping to get the foot. The smelly cat, or the white die, in this version has 2 of these feet symbols, so you can move 1 spot, or if you get the cat picture, you can move 2 spots. The blue one has 2 money on it, or it has this symbol, and what that allows you to do is after the movement step, you can gain the reward at least 2 spots away. So if he moved to here, he gain the reward of either of those spots, or if there was something next to him. He couldn't gain the spot that he's standing on again. It's either 1 or 2 spots further away. Then we get to the dugout, which has 2 of these symbols on it, and that allows you to take 3 extra dice from your draw zone and roll them, and any symbols that come up, they go into your active zone. Then there's the Reckless Cheesecake, and what that does is once you have that, if I now push, which is roll again, and I don't bust, which I haven't, I would move my marker 1 spot forward as if I'd rolled a foot, but I do that instantly. And that stays there, and every time I roll, if I don't bust, I would move as well. And then finally, there's this purple one, which is the Rollosaurus, and that is gain 4 footsteps in this particular game. I think that is everything necessary to play the game. Please go ahead and watch my Gamesplay to get a feel for how the game actually plays. If you have any games that you would like to be Gamesplained, please shoot me an email to thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter @thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.